morning. How are you? So great to be here with you today. Another Tuesday. I'm really enjoying being back and meeting up with y'all. So I know some of you watch like right now, will be on for the live show. And then some of you are actually on, watch it later in the day or something like that. So I'm going to do my usual move things around. I can't do this while before I'm actually live. So if you wonder why I wait to do it, because I haven't figured out if I can, how to do that or not. So I'm real, again, happy to see that you are here. And we have a big topic to talk about today. And before I get into that, I want to just remind you, those of you who are interested in some of the things that I do, I most always post in the Fun Fearless Female Global Community of Christian Women Facebook group. Well, that's a mouthful, right? So in the Facebook group, if you go to Fun Fearless Female Global Community of Christian Women, you will find it. And I have several things coming up. We did do the 1 minute for your Jesus journey, one to 3 minute personal testimony. I had several gals go through that, and it was it was such a blessing to me to be able to hear their testimonies, because I get to hear the whole thing, the whole story, and then we break it down and take it down to get it to a smaller amount of time. So it's a great blessing for me, and I will be offering it again. And if you are interested, just send me a note, just send me a private message or text or something, and I will look at scheduling the next one. So that would be great. So I have 3 different things coming up now. All 3 are the same in the fact that it's the same study. So I'll be facilitating the experiencing God, knowing and doing the will of God. And I will be starting one of those online class on July 22nd. All the details are in the Fun Fearless group. And then I will be doing an evening in the fall, then as well as a daytime group in the fall that will be in person. So those of you in the KC area can come to that. So the details are in there. So if you're interested at all in that, I love the online class from the fact that I can actually, reach out to those of you that I miss so much. I'm thinking of people, we've got people across the country, and particularly in Las Vegas, we have a nice group there, and then just, other places all over the country, just 1 or 2 in each place as it may be. So anyway, take a look at that and see what you think. I'm going to look over here real quick and just see if I can find the chat box here. And let's see that. So just see if I there's always a delay on there. So I'm hoping, I'm turning this down here. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Good morning. As always, so great to see you and have you here. And I think you probably have heard most of this talk since you've been around with me for such a long time. Never enough until the end of time. But right now, I appreciate all of that. And I just felt, as I think I mentioned in the comments in Facebook, I'm going to turn down. So Kathy, I'm going to turn this down because I'm getting an echo from the 2 places. Can you tell me, send me a little text? Do you still hear me? You, Kathy? Okay, let me see now. Okay, Kathy, can you hear me? All right, Kathy. Hi, Emmalou. Nice to see you here. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Let me see here. All right. I'm trying to get rid of the echo in case you're wondering what I'm doing. So for some reason I have it because the screens are not exactly lined up. And, the one thing about doing live is that you deal with these things. If I pre-recorded it and put it out there, I could make sure none of this stuff is, aha, I found the answer. All right. I know how to mute that. All right. So as I said in the notes today, I'm going to talk to you today off and on, but all in the same subject realm of what you are not. Okay, so let me just say to begin with, you are not your credit score You are not your car. You are not your house or what neighborhood you live in. You are not anything you've done in the past. You're not all of your sin. You're not all of your bad decisions. Because we tend to look inward and say, oh, I'm too bad for this, or, I'm just, I don't know, a wreck, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not enough. I just hear that so much. It makes my heart hurt. It's sad to me to hear women say that. But when you're going through, I know that when you're going through a crisis and a financial crisis, that's one of the big ones. Divorce is a big one. They say, what is it? Money and divorce and moving are the three top reasons that people have issues and that cause the biggest stress in your life. And Emmylou, that being your realm of expertise, would you agree with that in family dynamics that the three biggest stress causes are money, divorce, and moving can put great strain on you. Now, Bill and I both kind of like to move, so that's why we moved 17 times, and we've been married for 45, so we still are together after all this time. So I'm going to share a story with you to tell you where I got this information. So I do have an ebook for you today, guys, and I'm going to put it in the chat box. Let's see. Let me do a little quick survey here. Not a survey so much as I want to get you the right link so that I can do. But if I don't get it on here before we end the show, I'll definitely get it to you before the somewhat right after. So I'm looking for it right here. It's on my computer, but it's not always, that isn't always the best way to get to do that. So I'll start out with the story of why I even wrote this, just a little ebook. Doesn't take you long to go through it, but I would suggest that if you do go through it, to take it seriously. I mean, these are things that I actually personally did. And when I say, make a list of all of your debts, I mean, literally write it down or put it in the computer. So as I go through the kind of the 1, 2, 3 of what to do, how to handle or manage that situation, do the things, because it's the exercise, it's the actual doing that's going to make you feel better about yourself, feel like you have some control, because that's a big issue when you're going through financial difficulties. So Bill and I have been blessed beyond measure. We, during the, I don't know, for many, many years, our our company thrived. We had several real estate offices. It's a real estate management is what Bill does. I happen to be the broker, because you have to have a broker in every state. So I go take the broker test, and I've been a broker in Kansas for, my gosh. So if I've been married to him for 45, I've probably been a broker for 46. Recently, last year, 2 years ago, got my broker's license in Missouri. Not sure why, just felt like I should go ahead and do it. I might need it sometime. So I am the resident broker test taker, which they're not fun, but for some reason, God gave me the ability to take these tests. I hope it lasts, my brain cells. So anyway, so we've had real estate management companies ever since we were married. We had a couple of companies that we sold, which was really cool. But back in around 2011, I think it is 2010, we had a big client down in Dallas, Texas, and we knew that he wasn't the most ethical guy. He had 3 big management companies that worked for him. He had them by section of the country. So we had the Midwest, somebody else had West, and somebody else had the East, and pretty easy to figure that out. And these other 2 companies, however, they moved their offices to the Dallas area. So he had a lot of contact with them, in and out, would go in their offices and things. But us being in Kansas City never really bothered us. We just did our job, and Bill would fly down and do the report. So things were going along. But I'll tell you the honesty, Bill knew for a number of years. He would tell me, he would say, Delinda, he is going to ask us to do the same thing. One day he's going to ask me to, commit fraud, because he was doing it to these other people. Bill was in contact with the other 2 owners, the other management companies. And he said someday he's going to do that. And then we're going to lose that business. And I said, well, you just do what you have to do. If it, we don't want to have any part of that. So bottom line is, the day came, and he asked Bill, told Bill that this is what he wanted him to do. And Bill said, no, I just can't do that. And he said, well, fine, that, your management contracts go on 30 days. I don't know if y'all know that. If you're not in real estate property management, you wouldn't know that, but they're on 30-day contracts, that keeps you really striving to do a good job, because you could lose it just like that. So he said, at the end of the month, then, you're, into 30 days, you're out. And so that is what happened. So we had 30 days to figure it out. And that company, I think in the book, I say 75 to 80, but in truth, it was about 90% of our business. So we literally had to do a big pivot, had to make big change. Like many of y'all, I know a lot of y'all have done that before. Think about the pandemic. I mean, there was a lot of shifting and, turning around that had to be done, shift and change things up. So we did. So we had to close 3 of our offices. We had, several throughout the Midwest. We had to lay off employees. That was the hardest thing, y'all. That was even worse than losing the business. The hardest thing was laying off our employees, because these people were like family. Matter of fact, we still keep in contact with many of them, because they were family to us, and just had to look at, now, what are we going to do? Like, oh, Lord, help. Truly, like, this is like, Lord, help us. What are we going to do? But the bottom line is that you do have to make a decision about what is it that you're going to do. And right off the bat, we knew that we were going to trust. We were going to just trust God, because he never let us down. We knew he had our back. We knew something would come out of it. We knew we would be okay. We might have to suffer. We might have to sacrifice, whatever that all looks like. But we knew in the end, we would win, because we had God on our side, because he's with us and never forsakes us. That's the biggest point of this whole talk I'm going to give to you today. So we just really realized. So first of all, I took a pity party. We both did. So we took the weekend, and basically my sister was even living with us during that time. She was in a transition herself and was moving to the Kansas City area at that time. I mean, not Kansas City, Vegas. We were in Las Vegas, moving to Vegas, and she was staying with us. And so she and I watched movies, ate popcorn and ice cream all weekend. Bill took naps and watched sports in his TV area where he would hang out. And on Monday, we knew we had to get started, start making the list, look at where we were, and making a plan, the phone calls, what do we owe, all of those kinds of questions. So the biggest thing that you can do in any crisis, okay, first of all, put it in the Lord's hand. You got to really pray about it. Say, Lord, this is yours. Show me the way. Tell me, just take it. And it is day by day. And sometimes, y'all, it is hour by hour, because it gets pretty intense. So we actually we had multiple 6-figure debt. So we were heavily in debt. I mean, we were making a lot of money, and we always had the money coming in, right? So we didn't worry about it. We were going to be able to pay the bills until we couldn't. And so that's what hit then. So you've heard the saying, what you think about, you bring about. Well, the Bible says the same thing in Proverbs 23:7. It says, as a man thinketh, so he is. So the way that you think about your circumstances, the way you think about the debt, the way you think about yourself as you go through this is crucial. Because if you begin going down that road of, oh, I'm so bad, I only make mistakes, I've done this terrible thing, God doesn't love me anymore, all that is just baloney, because he still loves you no matter what, and he's right by your side. He will never forsake you or leave you. He is there with you. And it's easy to be overwhelmed, and you really then you feel guilty. You feel like, what have I done? I've been a bad steward of the money. And, part of that is true. We have to look at that and being honest with ourselves, but it doesn't help to beat yourself up. So, own it and then release it, if y'all know what I mean. So that's part of my ABC kind of 1, 2, 3 plan for you here. So everybody's had those. And I know, just like us, we never intended to not pay our bills. We had money coming in, as I said. So, we had office equipment. We weren't big into buy big TVs and stuff, but we, probably had a much bigger home than we needed to have, did some things because life was good and we were doing that. So as this all began coming down in those 30 days when we lost that income, we knew that we had to do some major shifting. We knew that we were not going to be able to pay the credit cards and a lot of the other things that we have. Mostly was credit cards because we basically put everything on our American Express card because it was so easy. You get all the points, you get to keep really good track of it, turn in that thing at the end of the year with your taxes, makes it really nice. Except that, you begin to think that that's real money. So here we go. So we each have a different story. So I don't know what yours is. If you ever want to share it with me, feel free to do that. So we always, like I said, give it over to the Lord and remember that He is the God of forgiveness. That's what He is. That's what He does. He's the Redeemer and He's the God of second, third, fourth, 25th chances because y'all, we're just not perfect. So forgive yourself and let the Lord forgive you and let His redemption, wash over you. So here's a couple little thoughts. Be kind to yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. Number 2 is be real and truthful. Don't just try to start blaming it on anybody else. Yes, I could say it was all this guy's fault. But the truth is we accumulated the debt, and that's where you have to get real and own it. We did accumulate the debt. We could have managed our money better. We just didn't. You have to look at the facts in black and white, not from an emotional standpoint. So if you can separate yourself, like, here's the facts. Here's what we owe. Here's what we owe everybody. Here's what the interest rates are. Yeah, make yourself like a spreadsheet and look at exactly what you owe, any debts, and then look at what do you spend every month. What can you release? You probably, if you're in the financial thing, probably at some point you were paying for a lot of extra things that you might not need, right? So you look at your cable and you look at your Wi-Fi and you look at all the apps that you have, all of those things, and you got to write them all down. Okay. Trust me, write them all down because until you see it, you just don't believe it and say, well, how could this be? How could I be spending this much money a month? Where does it go? Where does my money go? Now, there are those of you who are more in the accountant, I think it's left brain side, is that right? That probably know already exactly what you have, but I will tell you, most people don't. They just like you do it and you're spending it and you know what you pay every month, but you don't really realize when you look at it, the picture, it's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen, right? And then, so we have be kind to yourself, be real and truthful to yourself, because nobody else is you and God. This is you and God here. Look at the facts in black and white. Don't be emotionally tied to it. Get information. Now, information is power. You need as much information as you can get. I'll go into that just a little bit more. And be truthful with whoever you come in contact with. And you might think, oh, I'm always truthful. What am I going to lie to somebody? Well, it's really easy when you get into the whole debt thing to, you have the choice to make if you're going to be really real with all the debtors that you have, all the people that you owe money to, or whatever other situations that might be. Just be real, straightforward, and honest. Okay. So I will say I am not a financial advisor, just right up front. None of this is in stone. This is just my experience of what we went through and how we managed it. So as I was talking about before, make a list of everything, write it down, your house payments, credit cards, furniture loans. There were a couple that I just y'all know those recurring payments that just show up maybe once a year that you totally forget about, whatever that, usually an app or something. So you need to find out what all those. Then look at your resources. What do you have? Do you have an IRA? Do you have money, cash in the bank? Do you have other property? You really need to see what you have, the value of anything. So, I went through my jewelry. What do I have that would have any value? Now, y'all know that I love jewelry, but most of my jewelry is custom jewelry. I mean, I have some, I will say I actually did have a number of really nice pieces. Some of them I took care of here. So gold was at a very high price and I had some gold chains that I hadn't worn. I don't know. I kind of just went to the costume thing for a while because it was more fun and flashy. I like flashy. Y'all know that. So I did take some of my gold necklaces that I wasn't wearing and I exchanged those for cash. That worked out well. But most of my jewelry did not have very much value. The other that I kept, not too long past that time. And I guess still in that period, we got robbed and they stole our safe right out of our closet. So the other things left by not my own choice, but they were at that point. I was really glad I'd sold those gold necklaces because I lost the what was left in there anyway. That was another story. Um, so as you write down your debt, then look at all your assets and just it'll give you an understanding of what it is. Now, there is a thing called a hardship letter, and this is something you will probably need. And you just need to be real. You don't have to go into intimate details, but you need to be real and write this letter of why you got into this situation. Because as you start working with your vendors, the credit cards and stuff, they're going to want to know, well, what happened? And they're going to want you to send them a hardship letter if they're going to work out the debt situation with you. So for instance, did you lose your job? Did you have a pay cut? Remember back, it hadn't been that long that we were going through the whole pandemic. And that was a big reason for a lot of people. It's the pandemic, things were closed. I had to shut my business. I had no income coming in. But even since then, there are still businesses businesses that are going out of business, and people that weren't able to go back to work or whatever that looks like for you. So go ahead and begin and just write your hardship letter. Probably should be no more than a page, kind of an easy reading thing, but very straightforward and to the point. And so that way And this will take you to a very, very vulnerable place. And I know that it's really hard. You might have had medical bills or death in the family or extreme illnesses. Whatever it is, just know that God loves you through all of that. He's not changing. He is still there and he never changes. So he will be with you as you walk through this time. And it's just it is a season of time. This will not last forever. So whatever you want to do, whatever that you want to do to get out of that situation and know that you're going to make big change. It's going to force you into making the change that maybe you knew you needed to make before, but now you're in that place where you don't have a choice, so you have to do it. And I would say that's probably where I was. I probably thought along in there, thought, we really should be reducing some of this while, things are good. But I was enjoying when things were good. And, that's just being really honest with you. I could have made some different choices. We just didn't. So anyway, so the next thing is be proactive. So you are going to hate it when the credit card companies or whoever's start calling you. And you're going to have to make a decision that this is just part of business. This is their job. This is their job to call you, let you know about your debt. And then they're going to say things like, how can we help you? I've been helping someone I know go through a similar situation, not for the same reason, but a similar situation. And I've been helping her with those phone calls. And so when you get those calls, just take the information, tell them where you are. Some of them will say, if you call, so I decided I was going to be proactive and I called them first because I like to be in control. Right, Kathy? You're my girlfriend that I know you like to control things about as much as I do. So I wanted to be in control, so I called them first. Now, here's what's funny. Nearly everyone, I don't know how many I had, but whatever, they would say, well, you made your payment last month. And I said, yeah, well, this month we lost our business and I don't have the money to pay. Well, we can't do anything until we see that you're not making your payments and you can't pay. And I said, okay, so I'm trying to let you know ahead of time that, that I'm not going to be able to pay. And they said, well, give us a call back when you're at a point where you cannot pay your payments right now. So I thought that was pretty funny. So they couldn't do anything until you started missing your payments. So I'm not saying quit paying your payments. I'm just saying that that's what they said to me back about 10 years ago or whatever it was. And that's what they said to this person that I'm working with. So anyway, and then you always have to look at the option of going bankrupt. That's always a possibility out there. It did not turn out to be one for us. And there are so let me encourage you also. So the credit card companies, they will have credit counselor people that they will recommend to you. If you ask them, say, well, do you have a service? They have people that don't cost you anything that you can talked to. There's some, so we were in Nevada, and Nevada had a credit counseling service. And one of the credit cards says, well, call us back when you've gone to that. We want to know that you're serious about this. So we did. We went there and we talked to them, and ours was a lady, and she said, well, you guys really are in a bind here, aren't you? And I said, yeah, I don't know what else we can do. We're going to try to work it out with the credit card companies, whatever we can, but maybe we should just go bankrupt. And she said, well, yeah, you probably should, because I don't see any way of you getting out of this. But we decided not to. We decided to just work with the creditors as much as we could. And so in almost all cases, they did work with us. We did have some savings. We did have to, obviously, we did have to go through that, but we were able to. If you don't have savings and stuff, then bankruptcy might be your option. So find a credit counselor that doesn't cost you money. So there's the credit services that you pay them a fee, and then they do all the negotiating for you. And depending on how far along you are in this process, that could be an option. You're going to pay them about 25% to get all your creditors to lower your debt by about 50%. So most of the cards will work out a situation. Again, every situation is different. It depends on what your assets are. But we had, we did not go that route. So I did all the negotiating myself, and we were able to get rid of that. Now it took 5, 7, 8 years, y'all. I'm not saying it happened overnight. They didn't say, oh yeah, good. Okay, this is all gone now. No, it's not easy. It is a process, but you can manage it. You can do it. Honestly, you really can. So as you work through this, going and seeing those counselors, as I said, can be a very good thing for you, because they can really look at it without any emotion and know what the best avenue is. Now, here's a big one. This was a big one for us. Cut the apron strings. Chances are, as a parent, we always want to help our kids, right? We want to be there for them. So our business had been going through junior high and high school. I'm getting a little hoarse here. That's weird. But in any case, we were paying some of their stuff through the company. We were paying their phone bills, and we were helping them with other areas, their insurance, their health insurance, those kinds of things. And I had to talk to both of my kids and say, listen, here's what happened. You know what happened. So here's facing the facts. In 30 days, you have to find your own health insurance. You have to get your own phone, pay your own phone bill. And there were a couple of other things. And oh man, I hated to do that. That made me feel so bad, but I really hated to do it. But I knew I had to, because every $50, every $100 in particular that I could lower our outlay, the closer we were going to be able to come to managing on what was left of our income from the business. So hopefully your life is maybe a little less complicated and you're not doing all of those things. But you know what the good news is? They stepped up to the plate, and really, I should have done it a long time ago, because they had to learn to step up themselves. And Emilo, I know you're on here, and if I were counseling with you or talking with you during that time, you probably would have recommended earlier that I had done that. I really should have. Once I graduated from high school, that kind of thing, I should have just done it. But, we had the money, we could do it, and so we did. So there's one of those owning up to it, but, I have to release that and let it go. Does it help me to beat up on myself now? No, it doesn't. It didn't help me then either. All right, here's number something. I don't know what number we're on. Answer the phone. You're going to hate it. Okay. You're going to hate it, but answer the phone. And I began tracking them. I had a spiral notebook, and I would track who said what and what they had. So for many months, they didn't have anything to offer. They didn't want to do any settling. It took into it 3 or 4 months before anybody would even consider settling with us, or lowering the debt, or stopping the interest, or something. There's a lot of options that they have there. But the phone is not your enemy, and it's not the devil. Sometimes you might think that. So I decided that I was only going to answer, for a long time, I was only going to answer one phone call a day. After a while, you learn what numbers are coming from what vendors, right? So I would just answer the phone and say, give my name. And then they have to give you this disclosure. It's about 30, 45 seconds. They have to read it. It's their job. They could get fired if they don't. Okay. So just grin and bear it. Listen to them. Then when they're done, say, okay, thanks for sharing. So how can I help you today? Most That is not the reaction they normally get. Sometimes my funniest one that I did on occasion was they would call and they go through their spiel. And I would say, oh, well, it's your lucky day. And they would like, what? I say, yeah, I only take one of these calls a day or one of these calls a week, whatever. I only take one of these calls a day and you're the lucky one. So how can I help you today? So then they go through whatever they need to tell. And then I repeat the story of this is what's happened. And then they give me whatever their answer is or their advice or whatever. So make it, it's not exactly fun, but you can lighten it up. Again, that goes back to mental attitude. This is part of it. This is part of the process. Just go through it and don't beat up on yourself and know that you're doing the best you can do. Because you know what, guys, you can only do the best you can do at any moment in time, no matter whether it's finances, whatever it is in your life with your kids. Sometimes, I know that it's easy to go back and say, oh, if I had done this or if I'd done that. But you know what? Every one of you, and myself included, we do the best we can do at any moment in time. We just, 10 years later, I would know different things that, my brain is smarter. I hope I've learned something. So I hopefully wouldn't make the same mistakes that I did. Just remember that this is your choice, not theirs. Just you answer the phone and you can answer the thing. So if you're friendly, for the most part, if you're friendly and open with them, they will be that to you. I only had one person in that was really a grouch. And I said something to the effect, and I said, well, thanks for calling today, but just thanks for calling. I'm not going to chat with you about this today. And I hung up. Again, that's my choice. That's my freedom. I don't have to sit there and listen to them. If they're going to be grouchy, I'll call back in so I can get somebody who's a little nicer that I want to talk to. I do not surround myself with negative people. I also don't take negative phone calls. So that's one of my little things on being positive. So if we are cocky or overbearing or cruel or use bad language, whatever that is, they're just going to react in the same way. So you can be a blessing. I'm saying, y'all, you can be a blessing even when you're going through these hard times. So we have learned to, manage our resources better. We decided, along that way that we didn't want to find ourselves in that point again. That doesn't mean that it won't. I mean, we just don't know what the world's going to offer out there, but we're paying much closer attention to the money that we spend and how we spend it and being a better steward. So I'm still not perfect. I still like credit cards. I just can't quite make myself not use them at all. So in any case, you can manage them and use them to a better end. So it really is freedom for you when you, no matter what it is that you're going through, but when you take the reins, you ask God to help you go through, you go step by step, let him lead you through, and then be open and be real and don't pretend and don't hide it because that's not helping you. I can't change my past, neither can you, but we can change our future. And we chose to be truthful, make a plan, work it out, and then, release it. And the only reason I talk about it is because I really believe that sometimes it could help somebody else. So if this has helped you at all, I really am glad that is true, because I want you to give yourself a break. You're not your debt. You're not your credit score. It's not the all in all end all to have a great credit score. Depends on what you want to do in this world out here. It is part of life, unfortunately, but it is, so just know that you can focus on your blessings. You can focus on the things that you do have, the good things, the blessings that you have. And remember, more than anything else, that you're a child of the Most High God, creator of the universe, and he loves you. He doesn't care how much debt you have. He does care when we're not good stewards of what he's given to us, So again, I've had to take responsibility for that and own up to it, that we didn't. But now, he led us through. We came out okay. And I know that sometimes it's easy for people to look at the outside. A lot of people look at me and say, oh, she's got everything all together. She's never had any, stuff happen. Well, now you know today that that is just not true. So, yeah, yes, I have had stuff go through. We've been through, that's not the only thing, but that is the thing that I was talking about today. So I hope this helped you. I hope that maybe it might not help you, but maybe you know someone who's having difficulty, who's going through some of those things. And if if you want to reach out to me, I am happy to do that. I would say that even if a number of you reached out to me and wanted me to do a workshop on that, I could probably bring in some people who would know some better answers as far as how to do the management side of the money, but going through the actual step by step of getting out of the debt and getting out of the crisis might be. Now, I will tell you that as God is faithful and never fails us, He's always got us. About 6, 7 months later, something like that. It might have been, I keep saying 6 months, but it might have been 8 or 9 months later. We had one office, just like a 2-person office left here in Kansas City. And my son was working there. And like I said, we were in Vegas. And so he called Bill one day and he said, Dad, somebody just called here and I think it's important. I think you better call him back. Now, Bill always returned phone calls, but for some reason, Justin, the Lord must have prompted him to let Bill know this was an important phone call. And sure enough, it was. So God opened up a job opportunity with a company here in town that wanted a whole new real estate management, property management division that they had never had before. They'd always done just regular brokerage. So Bill went to work for them, and that turned out to be an 8 or 10 year journey. He said they started out at a 3-year contract. Well, that went on and on and on. So, but it was such a blessing. It's like, when God says, I will give you more than you can think or imagine. He's not kidding. He really does. We could never have even imagined that this company, this man would reach out that we never, and Bill had heard him because they're a big deal here in town. But I mean, we never could have imagined God working it out like that. So just trust, you guys, trust. Have faith that He is the God you know Him to be. Trust that He has your back. Trust that He's got you, and He is never going to let you go. Because why? Because He chose you in the beginning, right? I'm going to go back to you are chosen. You are chosen to bring glory to Him, to be bold, to walk in faith and trust Him no matter what, because that's what He's promised us. All right, my friends. Well, that is all I have for you this morning. I will put the link to the ebook in the chat, so you have that, and feel free to, whatever, enjoy it, look at it, pass it on out to anybody else that you think might need it, because let's just share all these resources, right? All right, my friends. Love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for spending your time with me today. And I look forward to next week. I mean, you never know what's going to come up, right? All right. Oh, well, actually, we do have a special guest with us next week. And Emmylou, I think it's you. I'd have to look at my thing, but I'm pretty sure Emmylou Penrod's going to be with us next week as a guest on the show. All right. See everybody next week. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye.